Howdy, lieutenants and economists.
The most volatile, evil, disgusting things on the planet, humans. If you have a video request, you can always go to assholeconsulting.com.
Yeah, I am gonna charge you, kids. And that is the importance of not fucking up.
You are such an asshole!
Good morning! It is a crappy, cloudy morning. Up here in the Northern Command in Minnesota, where no young man or woman who has a work ethic should ever go, but it's still colder than Las Vegas right now. And a young man writes, "Hi Aaron, I would like to know your opinion on how things would have played out if Ben Carson was elected." All right, I'm going to tell you about economics and philosophy. There's no way to tell. No way. We can't. I can't tell you what would have happened if Hitler didn't open another front on Russia. I can't tell you what is going to happen in the future with the economy. I can't. So this is all speculation. It's just my opinion. So how would things played out if Ben Carson was elected president in the 2016 election compared to how it's played out with Donald Trump? In what ways do you think Ben Carson... So he's going to go through each individual ones, all right? So let me... we'll go through each of these on an individual level, but Ben Carson was my guy, and to preface all these questions, I choose my candidates very much based off of the Clary test. Actually, I was choosing my candidates that way, and I thought I'd just make it a test, where I don't care what they say they're going to do, I don't care what they say in debates. When they're campaigning, it is that small percentage of their entire life's work, actions, decisions, and behaviors, which if you go back now, especially with the internet, you can look back and say, okay, what is this man or who is this woman? And I think it's completely I mean, go ahead and have debates and whatever. I think it provides no value at all to look at people while they're campaigning or debating or anything like that. And if I just look at the man and say, okay, did they come from poverty or were they born with a spoon up their ass? Did they major in something stupid or did they major in something worthwhile? Do they have any real world working experience and know what it's like to be the real, down there with the common man? And then what are they doing today? Like, have they ran a practice like Dr. Carson did? Or are they just perpetual career politicians like a Nancy Pelosi or one of the Bushes, any one of those people that are in office right now, you guys keep voting for? So there are statements and policy platforms that Ben Carson had that I completely disagree with. Actually, based on how Trump played out and what he's accomplished, I was shockingly impressed with Trump, with what he's done so far. I thought he would have been a milquetoast kind of John McCain centrist. But Ben Carson has platforms that were not libertarian. He is anti-abortion, he is anti-legalization of marijuana and other such. He's a very traditional conservative individual, but he's still my guy because I looked at Donald Trump, I looked at Ben Carson, the better man, by far. So, in what ways do you think Ben Carson would be a better president than Donald Trump? I know this accounts for nothing in terms of actions, but Carson would have been way more professional. I know Trump, I love how Trump, and I know how you guys like Trump, trolling the left, trolling the media, but you could still do that much more professionally, much more, I don't want to say politely because that's such a weak word, but Trump, there's something off with Trump, I'm going to admit that right now, there's something, which is good because you're mixing shit up. I'm not necessarily against it either. But Trump's just not presidential. He just isn't. And I know that doesn't, but that would definitely be something different. Ben Carson would be much more professional, much more presidential. I don't think Ben Carson has the mouth on, well, he doesn't have the mouth on him, that Trump has. So that would certainly be something I'd say would be better. I think he could probably get some Democrats, some moderate Democrats, to come to the table instead of immediately weaponizing them and villainizing them against different policies or bills he would want. And then, this is no doing of Ben Carson's or President Trump, but I think his race would definitely, the NAACP and NAACLP, the National Association, no, the National Advancement, I forget what it was. The black group that is only for leftist black people. He would have had he would have had everybody shutting the fuck up about race. He would have had everybody shutting the fuck up about race. And again, no doing upon either of theirs. Ben was born black and Don was born white, but that would have been something better where it would just, hey, NAACP, liberal black people, white people who want to virtue signal about how not racist you are, here's a cup and it says, shut the fuck up. It's full of it. Now there you go. Now go away for 4 years. But I would, in terms of policy, I have no idea. Like, I thought Donald Trump, again, straight centrist. I thought his policies and that, no, turns out he's quite conservative. The tax cut of all things like that, I was kind of shocked that even came. I would say, and this is just speculation on my part, Ben Carson would have been a much more fiscal conservative. I think he would have maybe given you a little bit of a tax cut. Certainly probably would have simplified the tax code. But he actually cares about the deficit. Trump, dude, you look at his history, he's all debt. He's all debt. There are a couple times where Trump was insolvent. Because that's all he knows how to do is he borrows other people's money. In that sense, he's a pure capitalist, but not an entrepreneur. He just takes other people's money, buys assets, hoping the asset goes up in value, and was he bankrupt? I know he was insolvent. I don't know if he ever filed for bankruptcy, but that was the dude bro shit I saw back in banking. Carson is a fucking brain surgeon. Carson came from poverty, unlike Donald Trump. Carson knows about frugality and fiscal discipline. And I think Carson would have said, we're cutting the budget. We're not going to have any cuts in taxes unless we think it's going to boom economic growth, resulting in more federal revenues with a larger growing tax base and a smaller tax rate. I think that's where Carson would have been better than Donald Trump. But no one cares about the debt or deficit. And I've stopped trying to warn people about it because people are just dumb and lazy, so I can't wait. Do you think Carson would be better for the economy than Trump? Marginally so, for reasons I just said there before. And that's only the fiscal aspect of the U.S. government, the financial aspects, the financial balance of the national debt and the deficit. The economy itself, dude, presidents can only hurt it. And Trump did help it with that tax cut, with, quote, simplifying the tax returns, cutting red tape. Carson would have done the same. But a lot of people keep confused. The president doesn't control the economy. The best the president can do is get the fuck out of the way and make things easier. That's basically the best the president or any government can do. And that's what Trump kind of did. Not to the level I'd like. Ben Carson would go to the level I'd like. I would be doing drastic but wonderful things that everybody would benefit from. But who really gets the economy growing is the American people. The president is just one dude. And if you want to be like Jimmy Carter, yeah, you can really throw it into doldrums. If you want to be like Reagan, all you do is undo what Jimmy Carter did, and then it grows again. But who makes the economy grow is the American people. And that was well on its way before Trump took office. And even then, I know you guys think economic times are great, but that's because you guys haven't lived. You didn't live during the first Reagan administration. Those were booming economic times. You didn't live in the 1920s, though, Calvin Coolidge. Or Hoover. I think it was Hoover. Yeah. Herbert Hoover. No, Coolidge. Those were booming economic times. The 50s, those were booming economic times. The teens that you guys think just because the unemployment rate's low, we got 3.5% GDP growth. Not booming. Good, but not booming. I mean, it's so sad how the standards have been lowered. 3.5%. So I don't think the economy would be much different. Do you think Carson would be as good as standing up to psychotic leftist dipshits as Trump? I would say yes. If not, maybe 95% sure. Trump has proved great. Like, he's just zero fucks given. Zero fucks given. I think Carson would have done the same because, keep in mind, you guys saw this meek, timid brain surgeon who was very polite and was a Christian. You didn't see Ben Carson growing up in the depths of poverty and the ghetto and finding his way out of it. There is a fighter there, but in that entire spectrum of going from ghetto to brain surgeon, he has learned skills such as, okay, you could be blunt when you have to, but at the presidential level, you got to be smart and clever, but firm. And unlike all the other presidents that were Republicans who were milky toast and wimpy spine, I think Carson would have said, no, we're doing it this way. And he would have chosen, you don't need to be crass or rude to really skewer. Thomas Sowell is another perfect example of this. You just have to choose the right words. You can still be professional, you can still be presidential, but you can just lay someone flat on their back with the appropriate words. I think Ben Carson has that couth, that ability, that command of the vocabulary, not to say it's vocabulary. Yeah, I think he would have, it may not have been as cinematic and circus-like as Donald Trump, and oh smack, or oh snap, it wouldn't have been like that, but he would have, put a cup. He would have too had a cup of shut the fuck up, but it may have been served in a champagne glass, not a crappy mug like this. I'm gonna have to heat that up. I like my coffee piping hot. Do you think Ben Carson would be an anti-establishment type president where he's got the balls to stand up for the American people? Yes, because why Ben Carson was my guy is he wasn't a politician. He was a brain surgeon. He came from the real world. Trump, quasi-establishment, he donated money to all, billionaire, whether it's on paper or you just borrowed $1 billion of other people's money. He's still quasi-established, certainly proving not to be establishment. But I think Carson would, if he would stand up to him, it wouldn't be like a wrestling show. It wouldn't be like the WWE. It would be Ben Carson being much more adroit and professional. And he would. But, I don't know. He could cower. And how much of a hissy fit do you think the left would have thrown if Ben Carson won the election compared to Donald Trump? Your thoughts. They would have... They would try to throw as much of a hissy fit as they could. The only reason they couldn't is because Ben Carson is black. And it shows you how truly racist left-leaning people are. It is all race to them. You got a white guy in now, okay, you got the two things. You got the race and the sex. Boom, you're done. Okay, so now they can go full-on, redline the engine, hate vile isms and is. If you had Ben Carson, they would rely on the NAALP and the leftist black community and Black Lives Matter and standard predictable, boring, mindless, dumb approach and hypocritical of all things. They call him an Oreo, they call him an Uncle Tom. He doesn't represent black people. Because, why would you want a brain surgeon making lots of money representing you guys, right? I mean, you should all just fit the stereotype, right? You don't want a successful black guy. Hell no. So you'd have those people coming out from the black community accusing him of being an Uncle Tom. That would be about it. Because then the white left, your professional left, your academic left, your millennial left, your social media left, could not come out and play the race card every fucking minute. I mean, I don't even have to. I could go right now and search Trump racist, and I'm sure there's a tweet per second happening about just what a racist is. That would not be there. So that would take out, I'd say, almost a quarter or a third of the steam of the left. They'd like to, but they couldn't. And I hate that. It's so sad that people on the left are truly racist and sexist like this, but if you really want to, if we really wanted to shut up the left, you would run Condoleezza Rice, because then you take away 2/3, 75% of their criticism. No, she's female. No, she's black. Now, of course, she'd be called an Oreo, an Uncle Tom, or an Auntie Tom, and feminists would say, "Oh, she doesn't represent feminism." Really, the gal, Secretary of State, and what was she? Was she Secretary of State? I mean, she's just. Here's this, an incredibly accomplished woman, cellist, I think she's a member of Augusta. I mean, you point to Condoleezza Rice. I'd love to see. The feminists would have to eat their own words. Like, God, she's not a real feminist, really? You mean a successful, comely-looking woman with CFM boots? No. But, and she was smart. She didn't want to run. There was talk about having her run. But it shows you how sad the left is, that they do not care about the content of your character. They only care what your plumbing is and the color of your skin. They are truly racist and sexist. But Republicans have got to play this game because they didn't play their game well enough in the past. It's sadly, you don't pick the best man to run. You do have to consider race and gender, and marketing is what you got to consider, especially given the trillions of dollars the left have poured into brainwashing now 3 full generations on your race and your gender matter. And that's a lot of times the most important thing and the only thing that matters. Well, they've invested trillions of dollars into the education system for this, to brainwash them. That's what kids think nowadays. Avail yourself of that. Do what corporations do. Just start plopping minority and females. Oh, rah, rah, rah. Look how virtue signaling we are. Virtue signaling is disgusting. It's hypocritical. It's a lie. It's not meritocratic. It's not excellence. It's not achieving the best. But that's what works when you're running for public positions in marketing, and that's essentially what the presidential race is. So there would be nowhere near the hissy fit if Ben Carson ran, but the energies would be redirected towards his gender, so it would still be male. You'd probably have a lot of Brett Kavanaugh and Clarence Thomas. There'd be some gal that came, oh my God, Ben Carson in 1847 patted me on the butt, said, nice throw. You know, we were playing football, and I was forced to play football, and I'm tragic. This right here, guys, right there, I got to do a book review. Right here, this is what would have happened to Ben Carson. He would have been Kavanaugh by a quantahaha like that. But yeah, you would have taken a lot of steam. You would have taken away an entire battery of weapons that the left is currently using on Trump that they would not have been able to use on Ben Carson. But the Republicans are stupid, so it's like, what, you can't find a female or a minority. And now I'll grant the Republicans one thing. When you look at their, and I should be so critical because now I look at it this way. If you looked at the primaries, the Republican candidates in the Republican primary, there was true diversity. You had Carla Fiorina, females, you had minorities, you had Latinos, you had Cruz. You looked at that was a true, and it was meritocratic. And unlike what they did to Paul Ryan, Rand Paul, who was the guy they railroaded? They did what Hillary did to Bernie Sanders. It's not Paul Ryan. You guys are yelling at me right now. It's this guy. He was a doctor. Why can't I remember him? And the Fed guy. This time, the Republicans let the guy that the people wanted win. And that was Trump. I mean, because what establishment party would elect Trump? So, at least in that sense, the Republican Party was truly democratic. Whereas the Democrat Party completely ass-raped its own name and became a hypocrite when they weren't democratic. They were dictatorial. They said, no, our guy is Hillary. And screw Bernie Sanders, when I think most of the people on the left, most of the Democrats wanted Bernie Sanders because he promised you more of our hardworking shit, right? You promised more of our labor to support you parasites, right? Yeah, there we go. So yeah, the hissy fit would have been. All in all, I think Ben Carson. Still, that's why I was going to vote for him until he literally dropped out the day before the Minnesota primaries came. And then I'm like, okay, well, who do I? And then people say, Cruz, fuck you. Sick of this guy. He's been a politician this entire time. I'm voting Trump. I think he would have been a better candidate. Yeah, I think he would have been a better president. Maybe not a better candidate, but he was a better. He would have been a better president. Who the fuck is calling me now? Oh, it's Dad. Oh shit. All right, that's it. Something's wrong. I'll talk to you guys later. Toodles.